विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रसाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पश्चात् देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिविचार्य अस्तोत्र divine grace AC भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिविचार्य अस्तोत्र divine grace AC भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासि गौर भक्त की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर धाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। समवेत भक्त मुंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All wish you and Gaurang.
Welcome everybody to Srimad Bhagavatam with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Tuesday, August 26th, 2025, and today we're starting with 4:21:16. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 4:21:16. Ramaraj, would you like to read today?
I just have to put up an alarm, so better you start.
Okay. Okay, 4:21:16. Vyuda Laksha Prahash near Balivalgu Delodaraha Avarta Nabir Rajasvi Kancha Noror Udagra Pat. Translation. The chest of Maharaj Prithu was very broad, his waist was very thick, and his abdomen, wrinkled by lines of skin, resembled in construction a leaf of a banyan tree. His navel was coiled and deep. His thighs were of a golden hue, and his instep was arched.
Well, there's a comment here by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtitide Shatarade Pancha Kolpatarupyascha Kapasandopyevacha Ditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Regarding the Lord's chest being rather his abdomen resembling a banyan tree leaf. He had a beautiful abdomen shaped like a banyan leaf with tip pointing down, broad at the top and narrow at the bottom, spread with 3 lines horizontally. Below that was his navel twisting clockwise. He had limbs like golden pillars. The leaf of the banyan tree. Now, what does it say actually? Vyuta Vaksha. Yes. So I won't say more about that. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
You can continue a few verses, I guess.
Okay. I will, unless Guru Maharaj, you want to.
Okay. Sukshma Vakrasita Snigdha Murdhaja Kambukandharaha Mahadhane Kuladriye Paridhayo Papiyacha. The black, slick hair on his head was very fine and curly, and his neck, like a conch shell, was decorated with auspicious lines. He wore a very valuable dhoti, and there was a nice wrapper on the upper part of his body. Yanji ta sheshagatra shir niyame nyastabhushana Krishnajina Tara Sriman Kushapani Kutochitaha. As Maharaj Prithu was being initiated to perform the sacrifice, he had to leave aside his valuable dress, and therefore his natural bodily beauty was visible. It was very pleasing to see him put on a black deerskin and wear a ring of kusha grass on his finger, for this increased the natural beauty of his body. It appears that Maharaj Prithu observed all the regulative principles before he performed the sacrifice. Earlier we heard that Prithu Maharaj initiated a sacrifice. Now here we also understand that he himself was initiated for the sacrifice. There's for the person who's the performer of the sacrifice, the priests perform a kind of initiation. As part of being the initiator sacrifice, he changed his cloth for this sort of simple dress, and his bodily beauty could be seen more clearly. Shishira snigdha taraksha samaikshata samantataha uchivan idam urvisha sada sangharshayan eva. Just to encourage the members of the assembly and to enhance their pleasure, King Prithu glanced over them with eyes that seemed like stars in a sky wet with dew. He then spoke to them in a great voice. Charu chitrapadam shlakshnam mishtam gurdham aviklavam Sarvesham upakarartham tada anuvadaniva. Maharaj Prithu's speech was very beautiful, full of metaphorical language, clearly understandable, and very pleasing to hear. His words were all grave and certain. It appears that when he spoke, he expressed his personal realization of the absolute truth in order to benefit all who were present. Purport: Maharaj Prithu was beautiful in his external bodily features, and his speech was also very glorious in all respects. His words, which were nicely composed and highly metaphorical, ornamental language, were pleasing to hear and were not only mellow, but also very clearly understandable and without doubt or ambiguity. Now we've heard about the bodily beauty of Prithu Maharaj, and now we hear about the beauty, charu, of his speech. Charu means beautiful. So, speech can be ugly, harsh, coarse, plain, nasty. Speech can be really bad, or speech can be confused. Well, you find people, you talk to them and they're like going around in circles, or they're not sure what they're saying. What I mean to say is, it's kind of like, and it's, you can go 20 minutes without getting any substance. But it can be also profane. But here, Charu, his speech was beautiful. And Chitrapadam, Chitra literally means pictures. Chitra or means colorful also. His speech was, Prabhupada said, full of metaphorical language. There are poetic. It's one of the 26 qualities of the Vaishnava. He's poetic. So there are those who sit down and write poetry, but some people have the gift that when they speak, they're able to use poetic language, simile, metaphor, sometimes other ornaments are there naturally occurring in their speech. Indradyumna Maharaj is sort of my poster boy for having beautiful speech. He's sweetness of speech. Bhakti Chara Maharaj, his speech was also always so sweet. So sweetness of speech, beautiful, ornament with poetic ornaments. Shlakshana, clear. This is a great virtue, to be able to speak clearly, say what you mean. Sometimes a person speaks, what are you trying to say? But here, clarity of speech, even if you're not able to pull off ornaments and other kinds of beauty, at least if you're clear, that's the most important thing. Mrishtam, very great. Gudam, deep, meaningful. That also is a gift of speech, to be able to speak in such a way that when you speak, it's people think, "Whoa, deep meaning there." And sarvesham upakarartam, arta upakar, paropakar. Upakar means for the welfare of others. Satyam priyahitam chayat. In the Bhagavad Gita, this is austerity of speech. Satyam priyahitam chayat. To speak the truth, and priyahitam in such a way that it's pleasing and beneficial. Hita lokanam hitakarim, beneficial. Same thing here, beneficial. Upakarartam, spoken for the benefit of others. So these excellent qualities were all found in the speech of King Prithu. And now we'll find he's going to speak to those present as he begins the sacrificial ceremony. And these qualities will come out, that he's speaking for their welfare. He's speaking, what he says is clear. There's poetry in his speech, and all of these good qualities. Something's in the chat.
Yes. Mahesh Pandit Prabhu, can you take over hosting and the things?
Sure, yeah. Okay.
Prabhu?
In the chat box, Saraswati Mata said, Pranam Pujya Guru Maharaj and all the Vaishnava. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disapproved of his god brother Brahmananda wearing a deer skin. So here, Prithu Maharaj is wearing one. So why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disapproved it then?
Well, I can't say specifically, but obviously it's contextual. To begin a sacrifice at this time in history would have been appropriate to be wearing a deer skin. But now we find, just 500 years ago, that Brahmananda Bharati is, he's doing bhajan, and he's wearing a deer skin. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disapproved of that. You're just like, Prabhupada, sometimes we see people today, they're dressed like forest snatikas, they've got a top knot and, forest kind of dress. And, they're ready for their Kirtan Mela or what have you. And back in the age of Lord Ram or something, that would have been this standard dress for a brahmachari or forest dweller. We would have thought, oh, here's a brahmachari, or here's a sage. But now, at the present time, to dress like that means it's just a look. I'll wear my usual stuff to work, and then I'll dress for the kirtan with the not as an actual brahmachari grahasta, but with a sort of the fashion. It becomes a fashion, not a standard dress anymore, but a fashionable look to dress like a sage, or to dress like a part of the entourage of someone from thousands of years ago. And it's not because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it'll be pleasing to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. It's a look. So that's different from what it would have been long ago. Hare Krishna.
Panchatattva Prabhu said that was then and this is now.
Yes.
So I would like to, yes.
Yes, there's a verse there from Praveen also, I can see.
Anudevaga.
Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam shaya. Then svajaya abhyasanam shaiva vanmaya tapuchate. That's the verse about austerity of speech from Bhagavad Gita.
Right. So I would like Panchatattva Prabhu next, please. Number 21.
Thank you. Rajavacha Sadhya Sunuta Bhadramva Sadhavoya Yahagataha Satsu Jigyasubir Dharmam Avedyam Swa Manishitam. King Prithu said, O gentle members of the assembly, may all good fortune be upon you. May all of you great souls who have come to attend this meeting kindly hear my prayer attentively. A person who is actually inquisitive must present his decision before an assembly of noble souls. Purport. In this verse, the word sarvaha, all great souls, is very significant. When a person is very great and famous, many unscrupulous persons become his enemies, for envy is the nature of materialists. In any meeting, there are different classes of men, and it is to be supposed, therefore, that because Prithu Maharaj was very great, he must have had several enemies present in the assembly, although they could not express themselves. Maharaj Prithu, however, was concerned with persons who were gentle, and therefore he first addressed all the honest persons, not caring for the envious. He did not, however, present himself as a royal authority empowered to command everyone, for he wanted to present his statement in humble submission before the assembly of great sages and saintly persons. As a great king of the entire world, he could have given them orders, but he was so humble, meek, and honest that he presented his statement for approval in order to clarify his mature decision. Everyone within this material world is conditioned by the modes of material nature, and therefore has 4 defects. But although Prithu Maharaj was above all these, still, like an ordinary conditioned soul, he presented his statements to the great souls, sages, and saintly persons present there. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Gurudasa Jayādvaita Swami Namine. So, Prithu Maharaj is addressing the members of the assembly. He, as Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, is particularly appealing to those who are are honest persons, gentle persons. Both he uses both of these adjectives, gentle, honest. And he's, kind of politely disregarding the envious. He knows they're there. He knows that in such situations, it's ordinarily a matter of fact that some people say, oh, he's the king. Oh, we got to put up with him. And there'll be that kind of thinking. He's in a station above me. I should be in that station. Or he has more power than me. I should have that kind of power. So Maharaj Prithu is actually acting very tactfully and countering this tendency, even in the envious, by submitting his appeal to honest, gentle persons. And in so doing, indirectly giving the envious a nice example by which to learn. Hare Krishna, that's what I have. Guru Maharaj, would you like to say something?
Yes. First, that we may think that, honest persons and so on is directed to the whole assembly, but it's neat to see that, no, this is a subset. The majority, we would suppose, but he's selecting them, not everyone. It's also notable that there has to be, or Prithu Maharaj wanted to have his statements approved. We saw that Srila Prabhupada sometimes would do that. There was an example that just came to mind because I spoke about it recently, that when we acquired 61 Second Avenue, the Brahmananda Prabhu sent to Srila Prabhupada a floor plan of the new place, showing what would be in what portion of the space. And Srila Prabhupada from Los Angeles sent it back and wrote on it, approved by all. And there may have been a letter that accompanied that. So the idea was that Brahmananda had sent it for Srila Prabhupada's approval, but Srila Prabhupada had showed it around. So, like, Karandar, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And then Prabhupada sent it back, approved by all. No one else's approval was necessary but Srila Prabhupada's. But Srila Prabhupada also showed it to the Vaishnavas. Do you approve? What do you think? We saw that Prabhupada also would take the opinion sometimes of his disciples or of other persons. So what do you think? And then, all right, it's approved. Atmavit samatapam, approved by the authorities. So this is an attractive quality. He could have just said, I'm the boss here, and yep, here's what I think. This is my conclusion. But as Chakravarti Thakur says, my object is not that the others who gather here, I can give instructions or orders to you because I'm the king, but rather I should ask you for instructions and orders. Since there's devotee association here, the inquisitive Jagasu should reveal topics of Dharma after considering them carefully, since they cannot come to a conclusion by themselves. So, so he could just say, I'm the king and here's what I think. Sometimes we hear, we heard that, well, anyway, great persons and highly posted persons may speak of themselves in third person. The king thinks, the president thinks. We heard that our President Nixon would speak that way. Well, this is sort of, what's the word? a little pathetic that after he was obliged to leave office, still he would hold large dinners with important people present among his many diplomatic connections and so on. And when he would speak, he would sometimes say, "The president thinks," although he was no longer the president. He would speak with that authority. "The president thinks," that presumed authority. "President thinks." But here, actually, Prithu Maharaj was the chief person in the assembly, or the performer of the sacrifice, incarnation of Godhead, and he takes the opinion of others. What do you think? So this is a great quality. Hare Krishna.
I would like to invite Saraswati Mata for the next verse, please.
Is it text 22?
Yes.
Aham dandadharo raja prajanamiha yojitaha rakshita vritidaha swashu setushu stapita pratak. Translation. King Prithu continued, "By the grace of the Supreme Lord, I have been appointed the king of this planet, and I carry the scepter to rule the citizens, protect them from all danger, and give them employment according to their respective positions in the social order established by Vedic injunction." Purport. A king is supposed to be appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to look after the interests of his particular planet. On every planet, there is a predominating person, just as we now see that in every country there's a president. If one is president or king, it should be understood that this opportunity has been given to him by the Supreme Lord. According to the Vedic system, the king is considered a representative of Godhead and is offered respects by the citizens as God in the human form of life. Actually, according to Vedic information, the Supreme Lord maintains all living entities, and especially human beings, to elevate them to the highest perfection. After many, many births in lower species, when a living entity evolves to the human form of life, and in particular to the civilized human form of life, his society must be divided into 4 gradations as ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhagavad Gita, Chatur Varnyam Maya Shristam, etc. The 4 social orders, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, are natural divisions of human society, and as declared by Prithu Maharaj, every man in his respective social order must have proper employment for his livelihood. It is the duty of the king or the government to ensure that people observe the social order and that they are also employed in their respective occupational duties. In modern times, since the protection of the government or the king has been withdrawn, social order has practically collapsed. No one knows who is a Brahmana, who is a Kshatriya, who is a Vaishya, or who is a Sudra. And people claim to belong to a particular social order by birthright only. It is the duty of the government to re-establish social order in terms of occupational duties and the modes of material nature, for that will make the entire world population actually civilized. If it does not observe the institutional functions of the 4 social orders, human society is no better than animal society, in which there is never tranquility, peace, and prosperity, but only chaos and confusion. Maharaj Prithu, as an ideal king, strictly observed the maintenance of the Vedic social order. Prajayati iti praja. The word praja refers to one who takes birth. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj guaranteed protection for prajanam, all living entities who took birth in his kingdom. Praja refers not only to human beings, but also to animals, trees, and every other living entity. It is the duty of the king to give all living entities protection and food. The fools and rascals of modern society have no knowledge of the extent of the responsibility of the government. Animals are also citizens of the land in which they happen to be born, and they also have the right to continue their existence at the cost of the Supreme Lord. The disturbance of the animal population by wholesale slaughter produces a catastrophic future reaction for the butcher, his land, and his government. Om Jnanandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Well, King Prithu immediately gives all credit to the Supreme Lord for having been installed as the king of the entire planet. And as such, he is completely aware of the duties that are associated with his reign, namely providing full protection of all citizens, the entire Prajajana. That means it includes all the living entities, regardless of whatever specific bodily form they may have been born into. Also, Srila Prabhupada lets us know about the vital importance of having the Varna ashram firmly established. And the ashrams, the Brahmachari, Grihastha, not Gremedi, and Vanaprastha, Sannyas, and of course all the occupational divisions of Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, to ensure that all of them are engaged in their respective professions and occupations. Everyone should be employed in their station and not be sitting around idle collecting welfare checks, as we see in the modern society. We see that there's a high rise in unemployment from time to time, and in fact a lot of people just are plain lazy, situated in the mode of ignorance, thinking that, well, they don't need to really work, they can just sit around and collect welfare checks. Of course, Prithu Maharaj's rule is not going to allow any of that. And Srila Prabhupada states how human life actually begins when one is situated in the Varna and ashram. Otherwise, it's simply animalistic life of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And I was sitting in a class where they talked about the fact that there's two types of Varna and ashram. And Prithu Maharaj is, of course, going to be ensuring that it's the Devi Varna ashram that is established under his rule. So in the Devi Varna ashram, everyone is properly engaged with the aim of spiritual upliftment and ultimately going home back to Godhead. The other Varna ashram, which is Sadhya Vyakti Varna ashram, is more or less where we have followers that are pursuing sense gratification, which may or may not be strictly regulated. And definitely their end result will not always allow them to develop Krishna consciousness. So we also know that strict followers of the Devi Varna ashram, if they're unable in one lifetime to go home back to Godhead, then certainly without fail they are promoted to the topmost 4 planets, Brahmaloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, or Maharloka, for further spiritual purification. So it is definitely a promotion. Guru Maharaj, if there's some comments, Hare Krishna.
We may not feel comfortable with the idea that the king is deciding who can do what, but this is, you find this today, that you want an accountant then you want a certified public accountant. You don't just say, let me take somebody who calls himself an accountant. Of course, it's not set by the government, although sometimes such things are. But anyway, there's a certifying board that this person is a high-level accountant. For a doctor, it's not just I put up a shingle outside my home and say I'm a medical doctor. I have to qualify. Then I can claim to be a doctor. Otherwise, the government may take action against me, take me to court. Doctor, attorney, there even today. And if it's not done by the government, then there may be some professional association that sets the standard, so that not everyone can claim I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. But this person has shown that he's actually a doctor, actually a lawyer, actually a videographer. Anyone can be. We get this today, that as soon as they hear that you have some disease, then there's like 50 devotees writing to you and saying, yeah, this works, that works, try this, have you tried that, do this cures, and so on. The first thing you learn is that everybody's a doctor. But actually there's some qualification to be a doctor. So that's the king's duty. Stapita pratak, to see that various people are properly engaged, and also to see that that will be a happy engagement for them, to see that everyone is doing his particular kind of work. If you ask me to do someone else's work, I'll feel uncomfortable or feel in difficulty. I want the work that I'm qualified to do. Well, that was the duty of the king. Rittida, as mentioned, seeing that everyone has employment also. It may not be that people are lazy, but they can't find employment. That happens. So here it's the duty of the king. Yes, I'll see that you're properly employed, and I won't allow you to declare yourself something you're not, but I'll see that you have work for what you're actually for which you're actually qualified. The king, or the chief executive head, was recognized as a representative of God. In the introduction to the King James Bible, there's a kind of dedication by the translators, I believe. And they open in a very typical way. They're addressing King James. So they say, by the grace of God, James, King of England. So that was standard. People understood that someone was the king, or someone was the chief head of the government by the grace of God. And that was very strong. Therefore, regicide, to kill a king, was a very serious thing. You're killing God's representative. To murder God's representative is heinous crime. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, one should not say, we should worship the king. This is Prithimaj. One should not say, we should worship the king. Rather, I've merely been appointed by the Supreme Lord as the object of worship to engage you in your occupations. I do these activities because I'm engaged, yojita, by the Supreme Lord. I hold the stick, which is like medicine for curing the sickness of sinful action. Dhamma Dhammayatam. I'm employed by the Lord for protecting the citizens from thieves. I'm engaged by the Lord to give occupations to the citizens. I'm engaged by the Lord to establish respect for the rules of our nation. So I'm serving, I'm carrying on my head the weight of many types of service to you. So the king was serving the Lord, not just that he's representing, collecting honor on behalf of the Lord, or I'm the representative of God, but in a humble way, that God has given me this work to do. And specifically, he's giving me the work of serving you in various ways. Now, politicians, servant of the people, but everyone knows he's a servant of his senses. But a qualified king like Prithu Maharaj would think that these people are respecting me, praising me as God's representative. But it's just that God has given me this service to do. And without God's power or God's grace, I wouldn't be able to do it. So who gets the credit under such circumstances? Credit goes to the Lord. That was Prithu Maharaj's assertion. Hare Krishna.
Panchatattva Prabhu writes, the last sentence, catastrophic future reaction on a mass scale. So it says the disturbance of the animal population by wholesale slaughter produces a catastrophic future reaction for the future, his land, and his government. So all the way up to the government. Yeah, you're right. Very catastrophic. And Saraswati Mata said, one person was asking that if dangerous viruses, bacteria, etc., are also living entities with the soul, then it is wrong to eradicate them because all they do is spread death and disease.
One person was asking if dangerous viruses, bacteria, and so on are living entities with a soul. Is it wrong to eradicate them because of all they do is spread death and disease? That's there. Prahlad Maharaj says even a saintly person is satisfied when a snake or a scorpion is killed. And so there are times when it's not that we're just in principle nonviolent, we can never kill. But there are limits and there are prescriptions. This living entity, just like mosquitoes can be killed, but Prabhupada showed you can kill them only when they become atatayana, when they become attackers. So if the mosquito is flying around, no, you can't kill it. But if it lands on you and starts sucking blood, now you can kill it. Atatayana, it's attacking. That's one who attacks can be killed. Certainly governments should not create viruses to attack the citizens. That we may find in Kali Yuga. But they should, but killing them is accepted. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Okay. We haven't heard from Naveen Prabhu for a long time. So I would like to invite Naveen Prabhu. Text number, yes.
Is it 23?
Yeah, 23.
Okay.
Tasya me tad anushthanad yan ahur brahma vadanaha loka su kama sandoha yasya tushati dishta drik. Translation. Maharaj Prithu said, I think that upon the execution of my duties as king, I shall be able to achieve the desirable objectives described by experts in Vedic knowledge. This destination is certainly achieved by the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the seer of all destiny. Purport. Maharaj Prithu gives special stress to the word Brahma Vadanaha by the experts in the Vedic knowledge. Brahma refers to the Vedas, which are also known as Shabda Brahma, or transcendental sound. Transcendental sound is not ordinary language, although it appears to be written in ordinary language. Evidence from the Vedic literature should be accepted as final authority. In the Vedic literature, there is much information, and of course there is information about the execution of a king's duty. A responsible king who executes his appointed duty by giving proper protection to all living entities on his planet is promoted to the heavenly planetary system. This is also dependent upon the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. It is not that if one executes his duty properly, he is automatically promoted, for promotion depends upon the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It must ultimately be concluded that one can achieve the desired result of his activities upon satisfying the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed in the first canto, second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Atta pumbir dvija shrestha varnashrama vibhagasha svanushti tasya dharmasya samsadir hari toshanam. The perfection of one's execution of his appointed duties is the ultimate satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. The word kama sandoha means achievement of the desired result. Everyone desires to achieve the ultimate goal of life, but in modern civilization, the great scientists think that man's life has no plan. This gross ignorance is very dangerous and makes civilization very risky. People do not know the laws of nature, which are the rulings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because they're atheists of the first order, they have no faith in the existence of God and his rulings, and therefore do not know how nature is working. This gross ignorance of the mass of people, including even the so-called scientists and philosophers, makes life a risky situation in which human beings do not know whether they are making progress in life. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.30, they are simply progressing to the darkest region of material existence, Adanta Gopir Vishatam Tamisram. The Krishna consciousness movement has therefore been started to give philosophers, scientists, and people in general the proper knowledge about the destiny of life. Everyone should take advantage of this movement and learn the real goal of life. I don't have comments on this verse, but Maharaj, would you have any comments?
Brahmavadina in Bhagavad Gita also, we find Vedavadina, Yadakshram, Veda Vido Vedanti. So, knowers of the Vedas, or the knowers of Brahma, again, the Vedas. One should act according to the Vedic knowledge. Let's see if there's something else I want to say. The king is performing his duties for the benefit of the citizens, but to act according to Vedic knowledge and serve the citizens in this way is also of the greatest benefit for him. It's helpful. I remember the Brahmins who were trying to persuade King Vena to act properly were telling him, it's not your duty to act this way or that way. You act according to your duty. Otherwise, it's not good for you as king. So here, Prithu Maharaj is conscious of his duties as king and says that by performing this duty, I should be able to please the personality of Godhead. That's the Dabs Pravitir Bhutanam Yena Sarvamidam Tatam Sukarmana Tamabhyarcha Siddhim Vintatimana. By performing prescribed duties, everyone from the king down to the most humble worker can attain perfection. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Murari Gupta says, basic cleanliness necessitates mass destruction of microbes and bacteria. And also Saraswati Mata has her hands up.
Guru Maharaj, in a class, I made a notes of it because I wasn't sure if I understood it correctly, but they said there's two kinds of vad. Vedavada, they are called prativadis. They're materialistic people. They're attached to karma kanda and all the sacrificial pious acts for promotion to heavenly planets to increase sense gratification. The second one is Tattvavada. They know fully that the purpose of the Veda and knowledge is to worship Krishna and become Krishna conscious, to purify your existence and to become a pure devotee of Krishna. So Tattvavadi, he knows all three features of the absolute truth. He has to do Vishnu Aradhanam. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, these divisions may be there according to the context. Vada, Brahmavadis, there are Mayavadis, there are Paramatmavadis, there are Vad. Vad is a particular, what should we say? Speaking according to a particular take on things or a particular objective. So there's nothing wrong with what you heard there, but there may also be other divisions, vadis, Brahmavadis, Paramatmavadis, Data Vada Ratap. That's also there. Those who are supposed followers of the Vedas. Yeah, I don't have anything more. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Panchatattva Prabhu, please lead the ending kirtan, please.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajagacharya Astotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajagacharya Astotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarindi Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath, Shamakund Radhakund, Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samabeta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Gaura Premanande.
Hare Bol. Thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu, for your nice kirtan. And on behalf of all the devotees present, I would like to thank Maharaj for his association. And we will hear more from Maharaj time to time. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Mahesh Pandit.
Thank you,
Prabhu, and thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu, and thank you to all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jaya.
His Holiness Jayādvaita Maharaj ki.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bol.
Hare Bol.
Hari. Thank you, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu.
Thank you.